welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County, and this is season 19, episode 3, and this is called Knee Deep in Lies. And child, Katie girl, you are very much in danger, and I know you know at this point you in danger. And those lies, girl, you be lying a lot, but feel like there's someone else lying here, and it's giving you are just a puppet along with the others in Tamra's game, which I guess I would make her the biggest liar of this show. But I'm glad you're starting to catch on to that, but you're making yourself such an easy target with your lies, so it is what it is. But I kind of got ahead of myself. Let's get into the episode, because a lot of what I'm saying is just a continuation of things, the aftermath of the lunch, the hot pot lunch, and the continuation of all the other issues that are going on within this group. So let's go ahead and get into this episode. So first, let's start with Katie. Katie is like in her feelings. She's like, I'm in the middle of an apology world tour. And honestly, as you should be, because you started a lot of unnecessary drama and you told the wrong person that you were doing this stuff, and now it's biting you in the butt. Because the context of this whole entire thing that we're not understanding, and we kind of find out towards the end of the episode, she didn't do any of this stuff recently. This all happened, pretty much all of it happened prior to the reunion. All of it. So we're getting the aftermath of things after the reunion, after everything took place. I mean, a little bit after the reunion. So some of the things happened a little bit after the reunion, but a lot of it happened after, way before. But a certain person held on to the information and brought it back to the group, because omission's a form of lying too, and Katie does that too. So she didn't come clean with everything that she did. And because she never did, she kind of gave the control to a person that she shouldn't have given the control to, because she's just dropping bombs here and there of all the things Katie has done. So it comes off way worse if you don't realize the context of, oh, she kind of did all this stuff at once. Anyway, that's me giving you just a little bit of Bell, Katie, but child, that's all I can give you. But anyway, we start with this scene where it is Katie and Gina, and she's trying to get good with Gina again, and she's in the middle of doing, they're getting a very expensive scalp massage, and it looked expensive, I will say that. And I love that Katie kind of shaded Gina. She's like, yeah, she kind of needs that treatment because that hair ain't herring. I'm like, I mean, no lies told there. At least that part you did tell the truth about. But this is one of the many dual scenes, there's 3 scenes happening at the same time. So while this is happening, we have Emily and Tamra, and Tamra's at Emily's house and they're recapping everything that happened, the aftermath of Gretchen joining the group, and Tamra's in her feelings because Tamra's a bully and she doesn't like it when someone is around that can basically outdo her. And Gretchen is one of them. And then I love how Emily is very supportive in Tamra's face, but in the confessionals and behind her back, she's it's very clear Emily's scared of Tamra. That I think Emily has even admitted she's scared of Tamra. She basically said the problem with Tamra is she doesn't realize she has her own twisted way of thinking where she thinks everything she does is for the right reason. And no, it's always wrong. So even with the whole thing with the Gretchen thing, she doesn't see what she did wrong there when it came to the Gretchen situation, when it comes to Slate's calling out Slate for being a deadbeat dad and all that. She doesn't see anything wrong with what she did there. And everyone's just like, girl, you were wrong. And the dual things are both everyone's saying that about Tamra. So Tamra still, even in her confessional, doesn't see what she did wrong. She never sees what she does wrong. Tamra doesn't take accountability. She doesn't ever see it. And I did also write in my notes, Tamra looks crazy. both based off of her actions and also too, I don't know what's going on with the fillers of it all with her lips, but she looks nuts. She looks nuts. Ever since Tamra started messing with her face, she looks crazy. She should have left her face alone. I need some of these women. Some of y'all, I know y'all are just afraid of aging, but leave that face alone. Leave it alone. Age with grace. Sometimes when your face does all that, that means you did too much with it. You should just left it alone. Because her I don't know, is it just me? In the confessional, she just like her lips just looks very like this. Like it's weird to me too, because in the last episode she was just talking about how she was making fun of Jen and her fillers, but I'm like, well, at least Jen's fillers look natural to her face. Yours don't. Just saying. Anyway, moving on a little bit here. So there's also another duel scene happening at the same time. So we have Jen, Heather, and Shannon. They're out for drinks, and they're also talking about Katie and them finding out what she did to Shannon. Shannon is very upset with her. She doesn't think she's pretty much done with her. Shannon's tolerance for the BS, you could tell, and that started even last season. She ain't got it. She's like, yeah, no, I'm done with her. There's no talking back. There's no turning back. We're not good. And so while that's happening, Katie, back with Gina and Katie, they're talking about how Shannon's upset, and Katie tried to reach out to Shannon and apologize. And the thing is, Katie, you still don't know how to apologize. Shannon even told you how to apologize, and yet you still did the same thing that Shannon has been trying to tell you not to do to her. So you think Shannon really is going to take your apology seriously? No, she's going to see that actually as an insult, because she literally told you how to apologize properly and you still did it wrong. So we see her text on, the screen for all of us, and basically she did that "I'm sorry, but," and just made a whole bunch of excuses. And that is what Katie's been doing this whole entire time. So as much as I want to like Katie and I want to be on her side of things, and this child, I sound a little bit like Gina, because Gina's been saying this too. She's like, I want to like Katie, but she does this stuff. And it's like, I don't know how I can defend that. There's no defending that. And I really wanted Katie to work on this show because we needed someone who was not white on this show. I wanted some diversity when it came to the Orange County of it all. But if you're going to do that, I don't know. Should we bring Noelle back? I don't know. They didn't like Noelle either. They chased her off of the show too. But child, I don't know. Partially because she was kind of crazy. I don't know. I didn't really like Noelle, actually. I was kind of joking. But at least they would have had someone that was, gave us a little bit of melanin. But child, anyway. What was I going with that? Okay, so then after this, basically Heather confirms when they're talking to Shannon. Heather's like, look, I actually talked to Alexis about this. And so she actually confirmed that Katie did show Alexis the recording. Which is a very important detail to know, that Katie did show Alexis this recording. And remember, at the time when that happened, this is when she was still in the middle of the lawsuit with John Jansen. So that could have cost her money. That could have turned out really, really bad for Shannon if, that information would have been brought out into court about Shannon's antics. Because yes, Katie, I get that Shannon's antics are annoying, and child, everyone's been saying this about you, Shannon. That can't not be untrue. That must be a thing, that's just what you do. You just go on sets and you just are a terror to deal with. That can't be a lie. But the problem is the timing of that being a thing. People don't want that's not a good timing. It's not a good look. It's a whole entire thing. So you understand now why Shannon's extra upset. 'Cause she's like, yo, I'm in the middle of trying to not have to pay this dude the money, because he was demanding more money than what she ended up buying, ended up selling for. she was like, this could turn out really bad for me, you know? So yeah, it was a whole entire thing. Anyway. And so then we also find out here in this scene that Heather is going to be throwing a birthday party like a month and a half later than after her birthday. Basically, she's doing it for the show. Let's just be so for real. That's why. She said that her birthday's on January 4th, and so she doesn't like to do it around that time because, you know, it's after the holidays and everyone's just in a weird mood and all that. I partially believe that, but I also mainly believe she's doing it because they don't film yet. And so she's doing this for the show. That's kind of where I'm really thinking that that's what this is. But who cares? Because Heather's parties are the best parties on the show. Like, I know a lot of people want Heather to go on Beverly Hills, but if she goes on Beverly Hills, no one on this show is going to be throwing good parties. So keep Heather on this show because we need the good parties. I'll just say that. Because the rest of the women's money ain't the same kind of money as what Heather is dealing with. So anyway, moving on. Okay, so then a whole thing comes up with the idea of Tamra not being comfortable being around Ryan. And the only reason why she's not comfortable about being around Ryan, according to her, she's saying an attorney said that she shouldn't be around Ryan because Ryan basically threatened to sue her if she keeps lying on him. And rightfully so, right? And so now she doesn't want to be around him anymore. According to her, it's because of an attorney. So now Tamra's trying to pull this power move to have, because Heather's having her birthday party. So Heather's like in a dilemma, like, well, who do I invite? And Heather's like, I want to be able to invite both. But like, Heather basically, it's one of those events, of course, where it's like, you know, you and your significant other is invited. So she doesn't want to single out Jen and say, well, Ryan's not invited so that Tamra will be happy. And then also Heather doesn't want to like not invite Tamra. And so Heather basically, you know, she's talking to Jen about it. And Jen is irate immediately. She's like, are you kidding me? All the things that Tamra has done, you're even like debating? Why is this even a debate? So she's going off. Like she's like losing it, like in the restaurant. And she's going off because they're at a restaurant. She's like, no, like that's not okay. Like, why is it that he's getting punished for something that Tamra did? That's some BS. And then we find out from Jen, because of the things that Tamra said, it actually ended up making her divorce proceedings difficult. Because at that time, when all this was happening, she was in the middle of a custody battle with her ex-husband. So that lie about Ryan being implicated by the FBI, that is a problem, right? That's huge. So yeah, I don't blame Jen. She'll never like mess with, she'll never be cool with Tamra again. And Tamra being just freaking ignorant and just in her own head doesn't understand that everything she said was not okay. And she thinks her little apology was enough. And it's like, no, I had to pay for attorneys that I can't afford to handle this. And because we already know Jen's money, you know, she has all those damn kids. And yeah, so she's not cool. And then Heather kind of tries to devil's advocate it just a little bit. She's like, well, how are you cool with like Katie? And she's like, that's not even the same type of deal. Attorneys are not involved in like the behaviors that Katie has done. And honestly, up until this point, up until the Shannon of it all, which was a new development, like Katie's lies were like awkward, weird white lies. They still weren't good lies. I mean, because she's a horrible liar, but it wasn't anything that would be serious. But I will say this, Katie's could have been serious. It just didn't get to that point, you know, because fortunately, Alexis Bellino did not use that because she could have used it and gave that to John. You know what I mean? It could have been a similar situation almost. Not quite. It still would have been bad. I mean, it wouldn't have been as bad, but it still would have been not good. So, and then Jen, you know, Jen's activated also too because she's like, dude, Katie has only been around for a fry in a pan. So yeah, her behavior, I'm not, Katie's like defender. I'm not speaking all the way for Katie. And Heather saying the same thing. She's like, I'm not Tamara's defender. So what are we talking about? And she's like, but guys, Tamara has been doing her horrible behavior for like over a decade now. Unchecked basically. So I get why Jen is angry. And so the conclusion was Heather's inviting them both and they can figure it out because they're freaking grown. And I'm like, thank you, Heather. Go back to what you were doing before. Because I was like, God dang it. I really hope Heather doesn't do what she did last season when she was just like all up in Tamara's grill. She was all Team Tamara. I liked it more when Heather was a little bit more neutral. And I think Heather this season is, and honestly, her tagline kind of alludes now to that she's going to just stay neutral this time around. And I'm like, thank effing God. And I think she's doing it strategic wise because she can. Because there is kind of a divide within this group, but there isn't. But what levels it out, Katie, they're targeting Katie. Katie's going to be gone. We know that. But Gretchen coming into the chat changes things. Jen has some allies now, but like a strong ally. Really, Gretchen can clear Tamara all by herself. She don't need the help. And we already know that like mainly Emily is like terrified of Tamara, but she's not really completely Team Tamara. And Gina is just a follower as well. Like you have a whole bunch of ladies on this show that are just followers. They're not really they don't really stand for anything, which is kind of pathetic. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, let's talk about the next. So next we have this scene with Katie and her family, and we actually meet Max. And Max is her oldest son, the one where he stayed with the dad during the divorce. And now he's staying with Katie now. He finally made the decision he's going to stay with Katie. I think this is like his senior year of high school, and they're going to basically, live together. And so they're making adjustments there. The younger brother is happy to finally see him and just kind of wish he was around more because Max, because he grew up with the dad over the daughter, over Katie, he is a lot more independent. He has his friends, he has his job. He's kind of just in and out the house. He's barely around. And so we kind of get that dynamic. It was kind of cute. So that was nice. So that's kind of all that happens here. So next we have, sorry, my throat. Next we have Shane and Emily, Gina and Travis, and then eventually Shannon and this guy named Adam from the Love Hotel. Shannon, this whole entire episode, side note, was basically just a walking promo for the Love Hotel. So I'm not going to watch Love Hotel, but it maybe will work on someone who didn't watch the show if you want to go back and watch it. Because all the men that she's bringing on the show is from that show, so she's basically promoting the show while on the show. It's quite funny. But anyway, she's on the so she goes on a date. She brings Adam, who was another guy she was dating on the Love Hotel, other than Earl, because Earl was the guy I guess she ended up picking or whatever. Spoiler alert, so I guess you don't even have to watch the show, do you? I don't know. But anyway, I guess that's up to you if you want. Sorry. I had to go off camera. I had to cough for a second. Anyway, so they're all going bowling. It's fun. And this whole entire time while all this is happening, Gina is interviewing this man as if this is like her future forever guy. And Shannon has made it clear more than once with these ladies, she is just going to be single. Finally. But I love that she's being single, but she's having fun. And it does seem like Shannon is just having fun right now. She's going to go on dates occasionally. She met these guys that she could potentially take out on dates here and there, but nothing serious. She's just going to just live her best life as she should have been doing. I kind of wish we would have gotten this Shannon after her divorce with David on the show. If she would have handled things like this back then, I think she would be in a much better place today. But that's just, sometimes you got to learn the hard way. And also, too, I can kind of relate to this. It took me a long time to decide to just be single, because I was a serial monogamous for a long time. I'll just go from relationship to relationship to relationship. And this era of my life, really basically ever since I've been doing the YouTube and everything, I've been on my singledom, and I've been actually my happiest. I've been my most fulfilled just being single. And I'm like, I don't know what that says about me, but anyway. So we have that, and it was a cute scene. So next we have Jen and Ryan, and we actually see Dawson. And remember, Dawson was the one who was like showing up late at night, partying, and just like kind of being like a drifter on the show. Dawson is one of her older sons. I think she has multiple kids. So like this is like I think he might be the second oldest, because we find out that the oldest is in college right now. Possibly. I don't remember. She has a ton of kids. I think she has like 6 or 7 kids or something like that. Something crazy. Anyway, so we find out though he finally does have a send direction. He decides he is joining the Navy SEAL. Like he already is enlisted. He's already... It's like, it's done. It's a SEAL deal. This is a thing. And for someone like him who didn't really have much direction in his life, I'm not pro-military. I'm not pro you joining the military. But I will say this, especially if you didn't do junior ROTC in high school and stuff like that. For some people who just don't have direction, this might what he needs to do. And of course, her ex-husband's happy about it, because apparently I guess he was in the military too, so like he's kind of following his dad's footsteps. So it's better than him just kind of like being a drifter. So hey, whatever. But Jen, of course, is still worried about him, but she is at least proud of him for like kind of maturing, because he did mature. And it's crazy, it's only been a year since the last time. But we also find out he's maturing, but almost maybe a little too much to a detriment, because the oldest son, he is in college. Well, he's in college, and I guess he goes to University of South Carolina. Or maybe it's Southern California. I don't know which one it is. It's USC. So that might be University. Actually, that might be University of South California. I'm pretty sure it might be the California one and not, I don't know. But anyway, they put the initials there. And apparently he needed a cosign for his student loans, which, okay. Question, guys. I have a serious question. Is that a thing where people needed a cosign for student loans? I actually have student loans. I'm going to be paying them forever. Neither here nor there. But I didn't know that was a thing, because about time I got student loans, because I didn't have to really get student loans until maybe I want to say my junior, senior. It was between my junior, senior of college. And then I went on and got a second bachelor's degree, because I had a scholarship, and I had full ride scholarship. So I didn't get student loans till later. And also too, I have had a job since I was 15. So I actually had income. So about time, it was time for me to get my student loans. I didn't need a cosign. And I had really, really good credit too. I had my first credit card when I was 18 years old. I was paying it off on time. And also back in the day, some of y'all are too young for this, getting a cell phone and you got in your name, that also used to help establish your credit. And so my very first cell phone that I had was in my name completely. And again, that I paid for that. And I also had car insurance when I was 19. It was on my parents' policy for a little bit, but then it wasn't, because I moved out of my parents' house when I was 19. So so maybe I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just don't know. I was kind of overly, I've been an independent girl for a minute. So this is just me being willfully ignorant. Can y'all put in the comments what that is? I didn't know, and this is me just being really, really slow. I did not know that for student loans, especially like your government student loans, I didn't realize that you had to have a cosigner. Or there's, I thought that was one. Never mind. I just didn't know. I didn't know. But anyway, I found this out in this episode. That was today or so when I found that out. And it turns out that Jen wasn't comfortable putting her name as a cosign. And so Dawson put his name as a cosign with the dad. And really, Jen was supposed to do it. She just needed more information. But Dawson beat her to it and did it. And Ryan had to explain to him, like, dude, you know that's going to affect that's going to affect your credit. And both Jen and Ryan are very, very super concerned. And I would be too, because it's like, it's very clear based off of Dawson's response. He doesn't take any of it seriously. And Dawson, if you are watching some of these reviews, I promise you want to take that seriously. You know how much I set myself back because I didn't take credit or any of that seriously when I was younger? Yeah, I got it together now, but like I could have had it together maybe 10 years earlier than when I got it together. So I'm going to need you to really, really be smart about it. Maybe once you get your stripes or enough, where you need to do for the military, get a good job within the military, make some money, make sure that money is worth more than your student loans. And also too, because the thing is, it's not even your student loans. You're assuming that your brother's going to pay for these student loans on time. And your brother's 21. And I just know 21-year-old me was not paying my student loans on time. I didn't really start paying my student loans on time until like I was like 27, 28. And that's embarrassing, but it's just one of those things. Like, I feel like if you don't know, you don't know. And financial literacy is just something that is not spoken about nearly enough. And maybe that's why I'm in the industry I am in now, because I am not on the financial industry, because of the fact that I just really wish when I was younger, I had more education when it came to that. I was kind of just willfully ignorant when it came to that kind of stuff. Anyway, sorry, I know that was a major PSA, but just hearing that scared me, because I would never put something in, I would never co-sign for someone that is not my kid. And we already know this shop is about closed over here. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on. So next we see Tamara and Heather. They meet up, and Tamara is very much not in a good place in her life. But honestly, has Tamara ever really been in a good place in her life? Real talk. The answer is no. I think now she's just no longer showing, like, faking the funk. And also, too, as much as I can't stand Tamara, I feel like the Teddy thing is affecting her a lot this season. You could tell the Teddy thing is actually, I think the Teddy thing really is eating her up. Everything else, I don't think she has remorse or regret or anything like that. I think the main thing that's bothering her is Teddy. But anyway, so Heather ends up telling her, look, everyone's invited. I'm not picking the sides thing. I'm not going to do that. And Tamara's like, okay, fine. I don't know if later on that's going to be a problem, but Tamara's like, okay, whatever. So after that, at this point, we don't know if Tamara's coming to the party or not. We know she's coming, but like, we didn't know yet. So then, fast forward, it's Heather's party. We get the typical Housewives montage of all the ladies getting ready for the party. And one by one, the ladies are showing up. Shannon's with another Love Hotel guy, and this time this guy, his name is Phil. And Shannon this whole entire time is just trying to avoid Katie. She don't want to talk to Katie. Katie's like, I will talk to her if she wants to talk to me. And then Gretchen's also there, and Gretchen's like, I'm going to avoid Tamara. And same thing with Jen. Jen's like, I ain't talking to Tamara, F that lady. And that's kind of what's happening. But like, other than that, they had caviar. So the scene of this party was like in this old, I guess, building where they used to film like major religious events at. And I mean, it looks cool. Very cool. Almost cultish, but cool. Gina, I don't give you much, but that when you read what this place was giving, you weren't wrong. Because it looked magical, but it kind of looked, it didn't really look cultish. It looked occultish. It kind of looked like, I feel like if I was Wiccan, I could just be like, yeah. I don't know, I feel like I do some spells in there, It gave a little Illuminati feel, but whatever. It was cool, though. It was cool. I ain't gonna hold you. It was nice looking. And we know that the bros be spending the money. And Terry was cracking me up this whole entire time because it was clear as mud that Terry was high as hell this whole entire time. He was California sobering it up throughout his whole entire party, which was funny. And yeah, I actually wrote in my notes, this party looked lit. This was one of the few parties I'm like, damn, I wanted to be there. I was jealous. I was like, dang, Heather be throwing her a party, don't she? Like, they had this really cool thing where you took, like, the shot was made out of ice, I guess. And so you would take the shot, and then it was a glass, but it was ice. And then you had this gong, and you could throw the glass at the gong, and then it just breaks, and it's kind of cool. I was like, I don't know what that's about, but it just looked like a fun no time. And then out of nowhere, we see Gretchen. She's talking about, I think it's Gretchen, Jen. Yeah, it was Gretchen, Jen, Ryan, Katie. I think Katie's husband's name is Phil. I don't remember exactly. Slate and Gretchen. Anyway, they're all talking to each other, and they're talking about how Gretchen, like, legitimately broke Slate's penis, apparently. And when she said she broke it, and then when she described what happened, I was like, girl, you didn't break it. You fixed it. Let's just say she calls it Captain Hook now. So I don't think she broke it. If you know, she didn't break it. Moving on. Okay. Anyway. Oh, man. See, these are the type of things when I'm talking about this thing. I would love to get my YouTube channel big enough where I can get me a Patreon, and then we can talk about some Sharon After Dark stuff, us girls, and really get into some things. Because when she was describing that, I wasn't thinking about him. Let's be so for real. But why did I go on my memory bank of the times where I have seen some Captain Hooks in my life? I'm like, ooh. But I'm practically a virgin right now because your girl is celibate. But anyway, moving on. Jesus Christ. I wasn't supposed to continue on that conversation, but I did. Okay. So Katie and Jen and Heather, they're talking to each other, and they're basically talking about, okay, I need to talk to Shannon. I need to figure this out. And they're like, yeah, you really need to try to iron this out with Shannon. And so they come up with a plan. Shannon the whole entire time is actually looking at Heather like, why are you talking to her? But I was like, Heather, but Shannon, the thing is with Shannon, when she's heated and mad, she's not rational. And rationally speaking, Heather invited Katie there. She needs to talk to her guest. So it makes sense why Heather is talking to her. We know Heather don't mess with Katie. Heather was the first one that called Katie out on her BS. She was the first one that already had her good eye on her and didn't trust her. She wasn't wrong. And so anyway, Jim was like, how about I go and like distract Phil? I go talk to Phil while you go. You know what? Katie's husband's name is Matt. It's not Phil. I got confused with Shannon's date. And that's kind of funny considering what's going on right now. I knew I was going to course correct at some point. I just did just now. But anyway, so Jen goes and talks to Phil like, hey, let me talk to you, yada, yada, yada. And then that leaves Katie and Shannon to talk to each other. And Shannon ain't really having it. Because as Katie's trying to apologize yet again, Shannon is calling her out on her non-apologying style. She's like, whenever you apologize, you are never sorry because you make excuses, which is true. If you're making excuses, you're not sorry. And so Katie is still just like not understanding the depth of like why Shannon's going ham on her, and Shannon's trying to explain to her like, well, look, the fact that because it does give vindictive that she gave that. Well, for one, she recorded her, like recording someone without them knowing about it. Number one, that's illegal. And Shannon was like, that's illegal that you did that, which she's not wrong. It's illegal. Well, it depends on the state. Maybe in the state of California it is, but it's not, in most cases, it's usually not legal. You're not usually legally allowed to do that. Let's just put it that way. And then the other thing was, this whole entire time as she's making the apology, she's still lying and denying the fact that she let Alexis listen to, like, watch the video. We saw in the previous episode she confessed that she did, and now she's trying to say that she didn't do that, and she only showed this to Matt. And we know that's a lie. Because the other thing is, the other ladies would have never found out about it or known about it if that was true. Right? Right. So Shannon's like, you're sick. That's why. So Shannon was just getting frustrated because I'm like, girl, now you're gaslighting me because you're lying. If you're going to apologize, you need to own everything. You can't just kind of own up to it. You can't just tippy toe own up to it. And if I was someone in this group, I would be frustrated with Katie too, full transparency, because it's like she has to be called out for her lies multiple times before she finally confesses and tells the truth. And it's like, I don't understand what that is. That's weird to me. That's so weird. And so Shannon's like, you're weird. And so Shannon basically goes off on her. It's like, you're worse than John Jansen. You're worse than Tamra. And Katie is like taken aback, like, how am I worse than they are? And bear with me. I don't want to be on Shannon's side, but I'm a little bit on Shannon's side with this. Because from Shannon's perspective, because I think like this too, John Jansen, there's a reason why he was acting that way. I can call out the why, the when. There's logic behind it. It's fucked up the way he was acting and has been acting, but it's still, there's a reason. Tamra, there's a reason. I mean, with Tamra, she's kind of a vile, evil woman. And also, too, Shannon has history with Tamra that is also good, that you can, like, kind of, in a weird way, it doesn't seem as bad because there's history there. Katie from jump started this BS. And it was unprovoked, pretty much. You know what I mean? It came off as unprovoked. Like, all of what Katie's been doing with the group of women, not everyone on the show, but like with a lot of them, has been unprovoked. And you're like, what is this? Especially the Shannon thing that came out of nowhere. That's still weird that she will record someone and even her reasoning didn't make sense. So Shannon even called that. She's like, your reason didn't make sense. You're saying you were on this important Zoom call, but then you took the time to get off the important Zoom call to record me. So therefore, how important was that Zoom call? I was like, dang. And I think that's why Shannon didn't go off on her right away. And she sat with it and she was like, this doesn't even make any sense. This is wild. You're crazy. And you can't be trusted. And the way she just like will lie until you call her, until you basically have to exhaust her to finally tell the truth. That is wild. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, Katie feels completely defeated, feels beaten up, and her saying that she was worse than Jan's, like saying that she's the worst human being she's ever met, and that, you know, she's worse than Tamara, worse than John Jansen, that was enough for her, so she left. Her and Matt decide to leave, and as they're deciding to leave, we see that Tamara is on her way to the party. Yeah, she's on her way to the party. I don't remember. You know what? I'm going to put a pin in that because it technically ends as a to be continued. And I was giving you a little bit of sneak peek of what's to come because I don't want to tell you who Tamara's there with. That's the next episode. We'll get to that. But it does end as a to be continued. But anyway, that does conclude the episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County. What do you guys think? Do you think the ladies are being too hard on Katie? I personally, I guess I kind of don't think so, because of the fact that Katie kind of did this to herself from the very beginning. Like, I feel like Katie's doing a lot of things that people usually do on these shows 2 or 3 seasons after they've been on the show. They usually all start off that way. Like, and for these fragile white women, this is not the group to do all this with. You know, this just isn't the group. This is not that. You know, they're very, you know, pretty much they usually only allow one toxic person in the show. It's Tamra. But, and also too, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, you got to stand in being a villain. You can't be villain and victim at the same time. And I think that's also what's kind of bothering a lot of the women, is she's trying to play the victim and villain at the same time. Tamra does it too, but not really. Sometimes, well, lately she's been being the victim and villain at the same time, which is kind of why Tamra right now is insufferable. But in the older days, she stood in it. She didn't care. That's why it's originally Tamra was kind of likable on the show. So I know y'all don't believe, my mic died. But yeah, I know y'all don't believe that Tamra used to be likable on this show. But yeah, she actually used to be likable on this show back in the day. But anyway, but yeah, that does conclude my video when it comes to this. And I'm just, I'm disappointed, because it's clear that Katie's going to be iced out. Katie's going to be iced out successfully. And really, at the end of the day, Tamra's pulling all the strings yet again, because she had this information about Katie. Because Katie did kind of a lot of this stuff kind of probably like all at once, really. And she just kind of just sat, because Katie was not going to come forward with it. She just keeps sprinkling little things out there, the things that Katie's doing, because Katie, in her lack of accountability, is not going to come forward and say it. And so she's getting exposed. So it's Katie's fault for doing the things, but Tamra's not innocent either. She's basically kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes, clearly. But yeah, I just wish Katie didn't do all this, because it's like her story was interesting enough without having to do all this. She didn't have to be thirsty, because that's what's also giving off. It's giving off you were thirsty. You were interesting enough without doing this. You were like one of the only minority, you were the only minority cast member of this show. That's interesting enough. You have an interesting backstory. You didn't need to do all this, and now this is probably, the way it's looking, it's going to be probably your last season, because you did all this. Did Shannon go a little too go a little extra on her reaction? Yeah. But considering what she was going through at that time, I see why she was mad. And I see why she was that mad. Because that is an invasion of privacy, and that's weirdo behavior. It's weird. I wouldn't be okay with it either, honestly. And it's you're starting to like form a pattern of these are the things you do. So anyway, but that does conclude this review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.